leads to radical new priorities in our lives, including making disciples. Uh, when we say we love God, but we don't do the works of God, we betray ourselves. The truth is, if you really love God, it ought to make you radical. It ought to change the way you view the world, the way you think about things, the way you behave and act. It's not just reserved for the missionary to be the radical one. It is all of us reaching out to the world. It ought to make you radical enough to give sacrificially to the poor. I will tell you that the last 3 weeks, our church has given sacrificially of their time and energy. For those of you who think that as we've gone through this storm, you've been overwhelmed by it, hopefully it's because you have reached out and connected with others, and you've taken on and understood the things that this community has gone through, and it has made you a little radical in your views of how to reach out. During catastrophes like this, when people are working and they get overwhelmed, it's not uncommon for them to get frustrated when others are doing nothing, because their view is so radical in that time that they can't understand why no one else sees it the way they do. And they're absolutely right. The love of Christ calls us to be radical. Picture Jesus in the upper room as he prepares to go to the cross. He begins to pray, that flesh crying out to the Spirit. He says, I have brought you glory on earth by completing the work that you gave me to do, in John chapter 17. What's shocking is that when Jesus summarizes his work on earth, he doesn't start reliving the great sermons. He doesn't start reminiscing about the miracles. He instead talks about that small group of men that God gave him to reach the world. He talks about his disciples. That man, Christ Jesus, doesn't boast about the miracles and those things. It talks about those disciples that he has made, that he has equipped, and that he has sent forth. At the end of that flesh's time on earth, he was putting everything he had done into the hands of these men. He even mentioned the loss of Judas. He mentioned that one of them wasn't going to make it. That small group of men that he had poured his life into were responsible for carrying everything that he had done. What was Jesus' plan for them? His plan for them was to change the world, to rock the world, the very foundation and the bedrock of the world around them. He did not leave it up to chance. He gave them a great commission for a reason, and that commission is no less great today. That commission has been given to each of us. Your first call when you come into the church, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I'm called. Your first call is to go into all the world and make disciples, to preach the gospel, to reach people with the message of the love of Jesus, of his redemptive power, of his outpouring of his Spirit into our lives, and regenerative power through the waters of baptism. This is the commission, and this is how radical believers walk and talk. They view the world as a thing in crisis that must be reached with this gospel message. So today I want to encourage you to join in with God's plan for your life, to get radical about how you follow him. God bless you, and have a wonderful Wednesday. We'll see many of you tonight in person at our Wednesday service at 7 o'clock at 1277 8th Avenue in Marion, Iowa. We are still meeting in the fellowship hall as our sanctuary is still under review of whether a tower is going to fall on it or not. Look forward to seeing you and being with you. God bless. Have a great day.